It's the same thing. I'll tell you guys in a moment. Over there.
So Alex, during a challenge for the ball with Yuri, reported that he felt discomfort in the back area of his right side. He kept playing, and at halftime he signaled. We examined him. He has some stiffness there against light resistance, but it's definitely there. We talked to the athlete. We decided to take him out of the game. Now he's going to the clinic to get an MRI so we can better assess a possible injury in his thigh.
And what about Bruno Henrique and Saul? What are the next steps for these two players?
These two athletes are progressing well. They're already working on the field, so the prognosis is great. And really, we believe that after the international break, at least one of them will already be returning. All right?
Dr. Fernando Sasaki informed that upon leaving the stadium, Alexandra would undergo an imaging exam. The player felt discomfort during the game, and unfortunately the exams confirmed an injury to the back of his right thigh, so he will likely be cut from the Brazilian national team friendlies.
How much did Everton's sending off affect things? Araujo was very vocal, saying it was unfair. How much did this sending off affect Flamengo's mentality? In the match against Corinthians, Flamengo was actually playing well.
For much less, we played one man down in the Supercup with the incident involving Gabriel Paulista, also against Jorginho in the box. So many times there's a lack of a more unified standard. But like I said, I'm not really here to judge the refereeing. My view is it's never a red card for Everton Araujo. Even if there were 50 similar incidents for or against, it's still not a red card.
Hey guys, good morning already, right? Greetings, red and black fans. Isso aqui é Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you're just arriving, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below, turn on notifications by clicking the bell, and leave a cool like on the video. A gente chega aqui. Remember that you can get Mango products, the Feruza jersey, the Goalkeeper's jersey, and Zico's jersey. Tudo aqui no YouTube Shopping. The official products help our Mengao a lot. I also want to remind you that you can secure your spot at Flamengo's games in the Copa Libertadores. Let's keep the Brazilian champion and Libertadores patches. Let's go to all the games at Maracanã. With Haroldo's Caravan, you have your ticket included, fantastic reception with lodging, transportation, and tickets. So look for Haroldo's Caravan right now. You won't regret it. They've been serving Mengao fans for years. Also remember that for away games, you also have packages with amazing prices and wonderful service as well, all right? So just look for Haroldo's Caravan. Games in Colombia, Cusco in Peru, also games in Argentina, Buenos Aires, fantastic. Well, let's go. We have some information to share with you. José Boto gave an interview. We're going to bring you Coach Leonardo Jardim's press conference, where he criticizes the refereeing and tells it like it is. Regarding the Gonzalo Plata situation, he broke the silence, spoke out, and confirmed everything we've reported. Regarding Gonzalo Plata, a player who has had trouble integrating Plata made a post, basically exposing all of this, right? He said, let me get it here. Look at what Plata said. He made a post, okay? Gonzalo Plata, right? Yeah, Gonzalo, look here, look.
That is if... Yeah, is it still up? Okay. I'm not sure if he already deleted it.
Yeah, it's not here. I think it was on another network. Well, he had posted, yeah, saying that there's a lot of wrong stuff coming out and all that they don't know the truth, something like that. Well, yeah, the coach talked about it, and we're going to bring it here, just like we're also going to bring the whole mixed zone, right? The players talking. But let's start by following here what José Boto said, okay?
Once again,
look here. Let's follow along here.
An excellent soccer match with two great teams. But once again, we couldn't play against Corinthians. It's curious that in the Supercopa,
once again, we couldn't play 11 against Corinthians. It's curious that in the Supercopa,
the same VAR, I think it's the same VAR, managed to find something from the past today.
But it's already the second half.
An aggression from Carrascal against the player. It's not what it was. What was it? Bidon?
Pidon.
But today he couldn't see an aggression from Gabriel Paulista. Jardim,
He couldn't.
a corner kick. The ball isn't played well. And he does exactly the same thing that Carrasco did to Biden. And this VAR couldn't see that. He had plenty of time to see it, but he couldn't see it.
He couldn't. It's a shame, my friends. It's the same situation that they couldn't identify. It's just that I think it's important. Me too. We should also talk about the other issue, the one about the expulsion. That one was about Jorginho's aggression. And then he says this here too.
Then Everton's expulsion, which is ridiculous. The rule is very clear about the foot. When you step on the foot, it's a yellow card. And I even have doubts that he actually stepped on him.
He didn't step on him. He didn't step on him. It's a shame, man.
Let's say he did it, that he stepped on his foot. It's a yellow card. VAR calls and Mr. Rodrigo Pereira doesn't make the mistake. He makes a mistake, is called by VAR, and sticks with the mistake. We're still at the beginning this year. Let's see if the CBF, if the clubs, everyone.
Flamengo will have to play against everything and everyone.
The same person having two completely different standards. We would have liked to finish the game 11 against 11. I think it would have been an excellent show.
Flamengo would win the game.
They didn't let us do that, Mr. Rodrigo and Mr.
Wagner Riwe. Wagner.
That's it. Wagner didn't let us finish with 11. He asked the CBF to pay attention so that everything is resolved on the field. And so that we don't have to keep talking about refereeing, even though sometimes people say, oh, I don't talk about refereeing.
Leila says she avoids discussing refereeing, but often gets others to do it. Good one, Boato. It's not going to happen, Boato. Go complain to the CBF, but it won't do any good. Unless something like the other case happens again, no, it won't do any good. Do you know why it won't do any good? Flamengo will have to do like they did in Jorge Jesus' time. Play really well. Jardim will be able to do that. So they don't have to depend on refereeing, okay? Trying to see if there's anything else. Yeah, man, that's it. So José Boato is really complaining about the refereeing, and he should complain. What happened was a disgrace. Yeah. There's also the Leonardo Jardim mixed zone. Let's follow along now. I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a like on the other video. Thank you once again for joining us.
Yeah. How much did this sending off of Everton Araujo, which was... Boato keeps saying in the mixed zone that it was unfair. How much did this sending off affect Flamengo's mindset in a match against Corinthians? Flamengo was actually playing well.
For much less, we played a man down in the Supercopa with that Gabriel Paulista incident too against Jorginho in the box. So many times there's a lack of a more unified standard, right? But like I said, I'm really not here to judge the refereeing. I think it was never a red card for Everton Araujo. There could be 50 similar plays for or against, and it wouldn't be a red. It's a yellow for the foul. He argued with the footage. VAR called him, and he went. I understand the pressure that referees are under. I understand the anxiety and all that. But in that situation, you need to have a little more calm and clarity to make the decision. It obviously affects the game, but I believe that this point we earned builds mentality, builds character, because it demands much more from each of us on the field. That's what we tried to show, even though we were frustrated with the draw and not the win.
Still talking about the refereeing, in the last 5 Flamengo matches that this referee officiated, there were 4 red cards, including one for you against Bahia last year. Do you think it's maybe time for the CBF to reconsider the possibility of this referee officiating Flamengo's matches? Since in the other 16 games he refereed, he only gave 1 card?
Man, that's a topic I think is more up to the management, the directors to discuss. Like I said, for us, the main players in the game, it's really hard to be here talking about refereeing. I try to base myself on the rules, and the rules are very clear when it comes to this kind of play, which is stepping on the foot. That's my interpretation. As I said, I think the referee ignored the footage. VAR called him, and he went. But I prefer to highlight what the game was, our effort, our dedication, what we worked on, a wonderful atmosphere, a spectacular pitch. It's perfect for playing soccer. The second half was affected by the sending off, but I think this kind of game builds character, so that's what I take from it.
Watch your back.
So we can get the doctor, okay?
It affected the game, but yes, it's important not to lose. It's always important to add up points. And even more in a stadium like this, at Química, especially against Rio, against Corinthians. So that's it. Obviously, we came to win, but adding points is always important too.
Flamengo managed to
many victories
now with Leonardo.
à frente do comando de você. What differences have you noticed in how Leonardo Jardim treats you versus Felipe Luis, both personally and tactically on the field?
I think the Flamengo coach always has the same mission. It's always to win, win, win. So that's it. Obviously, each coach has their own ideas. Each coach has their own style of play. I think that besides many things we were already doing with Felipe, we still keep doing them today. But I think the only difference is that when we win the ball back, we try to hurt the opponent. When we catch them more disorganized. But that's it. He keeps working. Now we have the international break to work with to keep following his ideas and prepare ourselves for the tough stretch that comes after the international break when the cup also starts, and try to do our best.
I wanted you to talk a little about that save at the end of the match on Yuri's shot. It all happened very quickly. He shot with his left foot and you made a really fast reflex save. Can you talk a bit about that save?
That's what I'm here for. We train every day for any situation that might happen in the game. Obviously, it ends up being a decisive save because it keeps the result. We know that with this draw. But obviously, it's a play that goes from left to right, from right to left. I come running across the goal, and at first I thought Yuri was going to do a bicycle kick, but when he tried to control it, I tried. I closed down the space, and thank God I made the save. And it was good to help the team get at least 1 point so we don't leave here too upset.
Which save was better, yours at the end of the game or Sousa's in the first half on the Arrascaeta play?
I think both saves were important, one to keep the game at 1-1 and the other at the end, so we wouldn't leave losing. I don't think I can say one was better than the other, but I can say both were decisive, and I want to congratulate Hugo for his save and for the game, because he ended up being crucial with that save.
Flamengo has already played against Flamengo this year, but Flamengo ended up losing the title. Do you think that contributed to any off-field pressure, making the team feel more pressured or anything like that?
No. The pressure remained on their side, and they rested the player to face us, showing our squad's significance and how important it was to play against Flamengo.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Leonardo Jardim, Leo José from Coluna do Fla. Before everyone starts talking about the game, I wanted to ask a question about a player who wasn't on the squad list, which is Gonzalo Plata, a player who was being used a lot by Felipe Luis, but he lost his place with you, and today he wasn't even included in the squad. Was that a technical decision? I wanted to understand what's happening with Plata for you to leave him out of today's game, an important match against Corinthians.
First of all, good evening to everyone. Regarding Plata, he's a player who's having some difficulties integrating. That integration is broad, isn't it? And that's why right now to play for Flamengo, you need to be well integrated, because it's like in today's matches, right? We need to have concentration, the right attitude, and a lot of physical effort to fight for results. Thank you. Simão?
Go ahead. Good evening, Coach. I'd like to discuss the upcoming FIFA break, which will be a time to rest. You've already had 5 matches in charge of Flamengo, if I'm not mistaken, and now you're going to have a rest period for the players, a period just for training. Our schedule is hectic with games on Wednesdays and Sundays, leaving little time to train. I'd like to know your plans for this period, how you'll make the most of it, and especially about the players being called up. They won't have the practical part itself, the day-to-day, because they'll be with the national teams. They won't be directly with you to absorb your game ideas. What do you intend to do to also pass this on to the players who won't be with you in the coming days?
Regarding this group of international players who will represent their national teams, on my side, what I can do is hope that no one gets injured and that they all come back from their national team duties in one piece. That's what's important. And that they don't suffer any injuries or excessive fatigue either. Regarding the others, we're going to rest for 2 days now, then we'll get back to work. Always with the idea of improving some of the processes we've implemented. Some players as well play less, have improved their condition a little bit. And that's it. That's the work strategy, so that from -4 we can start preparing for the game at the beginning of April, which is on the 2nd.
Jardim, good evening. Isabella Ayame from Ben Sports. How are you feeling today? Did you lose? Did you lose 2 points or gain 1?
Definitely, that's how I feel, and whoever coaches Flamengo doesn't play for a draw, so we lost 2 points. That wasn't the goal. In the first half, I think it was balanced with a slight advantage for us, but there were some technical aspects we talked about at halftime. We believed that in the second half we would be more dominant and would go after a different result. But due to the facts of the game, it wasn't possible. And there I have to state that the players deserve praise, because when we played at Corinthians, almost 45 minutes with 10 players, and the opponent had 1 shot on goal, 1 ball on goal, as many as we did. I think I have to congratulate the players for their organization, their commitment, their collective attitude, for playing the second half without conceding any goals, but also always well positioned at strategic moments.
Jardim, good evening. Duda Gonçalves from Record TV. We are live on Esporte Record. You talked about the facts that influence the game, and it's impossible not to ask you because all sides left dissatisfied with the refereeing today. Danilo spoke as he was leaving, and Gustavo Henrique also spoke. How much did this affect Flamengo's game in particular, and how much did you all talk about it internally in the locker room after the game? Thank you.
Honestly, I wasn't really interested in talking much about refereeing, but I think everyone can see a sending off of a young player of ours who's making his debut this season, who's in the locker room very sad because he thinks he didn't do anything wrong. A sending off of in the last game of Carrasco. Today the same thing happened with Jorginho, but 2 different standards were used. That's why I won't speak. Everyone can see it. What should I say? You saw it best, so there's no reason for me to discuss it here. Because what's important to me is the game and valuing the players' attitude, their commitment, and being able to play with 10 men and still have some control of the game. That was very important, both physically and emotionally, in defending Flamengo's championship.
Jorginho here, Gustavo Henrique. Do you think that during this break for the international break, it's possible to get the players in top physical shape?
For sure, the players showed today that they're better, because playing 11 against 10 for 45 minutes, it's necessary to maintain good physical ability, but also good emotional capacity. We didn't lose our balance. That's what happened today. But for sure, we always have an idea of growth and improvement, not only in the work to improve physical condition, but also in recovery, because over a few days, the players played 5 games in a row. I give the floor more to Jorginho, to Pedro, and they also need to recover.
Jorginho, how are you? Good evening. Gabriel Orfan, Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. I want to ask you about Arrascaeta. Flamengo fans know more than ever that Arrascaeta this year maybe isn't performing as the fans expected, really playing below what they know he can do. It needs to be explained why he was chosen as a starter today, knowing it would be a very physical game. Matches against Corinthians are usually very physical games. And about the play that ended up resulting in Everton Araujo's red card, when Flamengo had a 2-on-1 against a defender. Lino was an option, but Arrasca chose to cut to the side and shoot. Thank you.
For sure. What we've seen so far is still not the Arrasca we all usually expect, but we believe that the work he's putting in, the attitude he has, the love he has for this jersey, he'll show up. He's a player who usually grows throughout the season, and we believe that this year it will happen too. He's a player we're a bit concerned about not overloading. That's why when we played with 10 men, as soon as we started playing with 10, he was one of the first players I took off so we could bring in fresher ones. But he's a player we believe in and the fans believe in too. And I have no doubt that the best Arrascaeta will show up when it's time. But we believe in that.
Hi, Leo here. How are you? David Sharp from Antenados na Jogada. I'm going to ask you about your game strategy when Flamengo is defending with a low block, because since the match against Remo, the last game, I noticed that when Flamengo is defending with a low block, there aren't very fast players to make that more vertical and quicker transition. I don't know if you agree, but for example, in the match against Remo, Flamengo played a lot on the left side to make that transition with Alexandro and Lino, who aren't as fast as, at the time, Royal and Luis Araujo were on the right side. And today you chose to play with Paquetá and Arrascaeta, but you played in a 4-2-3-1 instead of a 4-4-2, which might have been better since you didn't have fast players to lead those counterattacks. Do you agree with that? And about those fast players who aren't playing, could they take better advantage of those quicker counterattacks?
We've already talked about this when we talked about transition. We didn't talk about a transition or a direct counterattack because that's not really our DNA either. But the transition is often a supported transition. We just scored the first goal today in a supported transition. After recovering the ball, we started moving the ball forward until we created an overload behind Corinthians' left back. And we had another transition, the one you mentioned about the sending off as well, which Arrasca led, and we created our own way of transitioning. Because we don't have players just making 30 or 40-meter runs up front. We have our players, but that's not it. To say our players possibly don't have those characteristics, but when we have the ball and we have space, we're also able to transition with a more supported style of play. And that's our idea when the opponent gives us space. When they don't give us space, we have to move the ball around. We have to build the game more collectively with greater dynamics.
Hi, Jardim. Good evening. Sidão Marinho from Electoral News. You emphasized the importance of clean sheets, and after 4 games without conceding, your team allowed their first goal today. Looking at the play, you see that it was possibly a preventable goal for Flamengo's team. Today it was a different defensive line, but all the defenders are of excellent quality. Danilo from the Brazilian national team, Vitão as well, is a player who is always considered for these call-ups. Do you think, considering the way Corinthians built the play, it was a preventable goal, or in your view, was there really no way to avoid that goal?
All goals can be avoided, right? All goals can be avoided. We lost the first duel. Got out of position on the ball side, and then they played a ball to the opposite side. In football, goals happen because opponents make mistakes. There wouldn't be any goals if everyone did everything right. Of course, it's also because of the opponent's merit. It was a situation from a duel. Of course, we don't want it to happen again. We'll analyze the situation, correct it, work on it. That's how we see things, right?
Jardim, good evening. After 5 games, you will have more time to work than usual in Brazilian football. I would like you to give an analysis of these first 5 games and tell us how much of your ideas, how much of your game model is already present in this team. And how important will these 10 days of work you have ahead be for implementing your ideas?
More details on your vision for Flamengo's team. Thanks. I think that more than me being here talking, you are the ones who can see what's different about Flamengo under my guidance. What I want to point out again is that we continued a bit with what had already been done with these players. And we want to move forward with these ideas and, of course, keep improving in those situations where we need to improve, in finishing and sometimes in our team play, so that to move forward. But for sure, the players have shown an irreproachable attitude even today in terms of organization. Even when we were defending in a block with only 10 players, the opponent created just one chance, which is commendable and shows the players are interested in solving these small details to create a more competitive team.
Leonardo Jardim, good evening. Gil, Superando Gigante Sports Radio. Yeah, it's going to be brief. I don't know if they've already asked since I got here late, but the question is, are you thinking about using Plata in the squad? That's a question. And the other one is Cebolinha, who was doing very well, and we didn't realize that he has already played with you. He played. How do you plan to use him more, Cebolinha?
Regarding Plata, we've already talked about that, and this question is very important because you're asking if I'm going to use him. Definitely. What I want is for Plata to fully integrate into our ideas, our behaviors, our attitudes, our values, and after that, for sure, he's a fantastic player. Regarding Cebolinha, he's also a player that we like a lot. He's already played as a starter. He's come on several times. Today, since I chose to play with more central players and also with Ney coming in, we lost some strength on set pieces. Or Carrascal, he was a taller player. I had to create a balance of forces there so we wouldn't be left vulnerable, especially on corners and wide free kicks where Corinthians is also a strong team.
Jardim, good evening. In your previous games, at the start of your work with Flamengo, we could notice an evolution of the team in those matches. Fluminense, Cruzeiro, Botafogo, Remo. Today, the team played a bit below what they had been delivering in the previous matches. To what extent does this fluctuation concern you at this early stage of your work? And to what extent is it, in a way, natural during this transition as you are still implementing your way of working and your vision of soccer?
That's the question. Let's focus only on the first half, which is when we had 11 players on the field. That's what I mentioned here. In the first part, our link-up play wasn't that good. We definitely want to improve this link-up play. We were a bit static at times, but we also have to value the opponent's attitude. In the first half, the opponent was extremely aggressive and pressing and put in a lot of effort. The player at home put in a lot of effort. I had already watched some previous games of Flamengo and Corinthians here, and Corinthians is a team that always bets on a strong first half to put pressure on, and we knew that. That's why I also said that I believe that in the second half with 11 players, we would be more dominant. That was our strategy. Due to the opponent's merit and our own merit in the way we played together, we couldn't have that kind of game. A team performance as strong as in the previous games.
Thank you, Jardim.